Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Mine was very productive. Got a lot done. Had a headache for a bit of it, but I pushed on through and got quite a bit of things accomplished. So, hope everybody else had a nice weekend. Go ahead and comment and let me know when you're on. No, I'm just about 30 seconds early. So let's see who we have. And hello, Laura. So glad you could make it tonight. Hope things are going well. As you can tell, tonight we're going to be using the welcoming window bundle along with the pansy patch bundle. Both of these stamp sets are currently on sale at 20% off the individual price. So normally Stampin' Up! Puts bundles on sale for 10% off when you buy both the dies and the stamps. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Lynette. Hello, Cynthia. So normally it's 10% off, but right now they've given you an additional 10% off the bundle prices. So these are 20% off of what you would pay individually. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside for the moment. And let's talk about that sale just a little bit. I want you to know I buckled down and finally got my new printer set up so I can now print flyers. So this is the Savings Are in Bloom flyer that goes the beginning of March and goes through the end of the month. And you can get the mini stamp and cut and emboss machine along with 13 bundles at 20% off of the price that they would be when you purchase them individually. So Art Gallery bundle, Garden Wishes bundle, and the Celebrate Flowers bundle are not currently in the annual catalog bundled. They're all individual, but Stampin' Up! Has bundled them back together and given you the 20% discount off of the single prices on those three, as well as all the other bundles that are currently in the annual catalog. All of these bundles are in the 2021-2022 annual catalog, which will soon be retiring at the end of, well, it's the 2nd of May, I believe it is. So we'll be getting our retirement list soon. Anyway, so there's the sale if you want to take advantage of that. Then we have a promotion for the Waves of the Ocean, and this is available from the 1st of March through the 2nd of May. And in the Waves of the Ocean collection, you can get, the collection comes with some rhinestone waves basic jewels. These are those. It also comes with blue foils, specialty paper, Waves of the Ocean 12 by 12 designer series paper, and the Waves of Inspiration bundle. So here they are. You can purchase the stamp separate along with the dies, or you can purchase them as a bundle and save 10%. And then there's the designer series paper, the blue foils, and the basic jewels. These three items right here, along with the collection, are while supplies last, which means that once one of these three sales out, then the collection won't be available anymore because one of those won't be available. Okay, so Just so you'll know, that is a limited time for those 3 items. The stamp set and dies will be in the 2022-2023 annual catalog. Okay, so I wanted to share this card that I received in the mail. And this card was made by Tracy Grauer. And it is so, so cute. This uses the Magenta Madness, which is a soon to be retiring in color. So if you like those in colors, Magenta Madness, Bumblebee, Misty Moonlight, and Just Jade and Cinnamon Cider, those are the 5. You will want to get those stamps, markers, whichever, any of those items that have those 5 retiring colors in them now, because once the retiring list comes out, they will sell out quickly. The Magenta Madness ink refill, I think, I believe it's that one, is currently not available. It's not orderable. So the others, Misty Moonlight, Just Jade, and Cinnamon Cider, I think it's those 3, are on low inventory. So if you need to get refills, stamp pads, the Stampin' Right markers, or the Stampin' Blends, you would need to order those right away. Okay? So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I want to thank Tracy for this beautifully cute card. This uses the Hippo Happiness bundle and dies that go along with it, and they are so cute. These dies are really handy. All right, so thank you, Tracy, for that card. Let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to do today because at the last second, I decided that I needed to make a treat holder. So I'm going to try and get through 2 cards and a treat holder tonight. So let's get started on our projects. This is the wrong ink pad. We need polished pink. Okay. Thank you for sharing, and hello, Mary. So we have polished pink, gray granite, bumblebee, garden green, and calypso coral. These are the stamp pads that we'll be using tonight, along with the welcoming window stamp set and the window flower box dies. Okay. So the other thing that we're going to need is the New Horizon 6x6 Designer Series paper. If you haven't gotten this, and I believe this is on low inventory as of this morning, so you'll want to get that right away. It also will coordinate with the March paper pumpkin, which you would want to order before the 10th of this month in order to get it. Okay, so we have a gray granite card base, and this is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And we have a piece of Calypso coral, and this cardstock is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. For the inside of our card, we have a piece of basic white, which is cut at 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. I should have a piece of Calypso coral for the inside of the card, and this one is cut at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay. And then we've got a piece of the New Horizons Designer Series paper, and this is 3 3/4 by 5. Yep, 3 3/4 by 5. I've got a piece of basic white, which I have already cut with the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and this is the second or third from the largest. Then we've got a scrap piece of gray granite. And we've got some scraps of basic white for stamping and die cutting. And then we have our envelope. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We can start by taking our base, and we're going to burnish that score. Okay, and then we're going to take our piece of Calypso coral, and we're going to add this to our card base. And just one moment. Then we're going to add our designer series paper to the Calypso coral. And this is the beginning of our card. Now, really, with this designer series paper, you could actually stamp a sentiment and call that good. But that would not be a Teresa Harper card. So, we're going to take and do a little bit of stamping. We're going to take the flower pot from the welcoming window. I'm going to put this right here so you can see it. I'm going to take this larger flower pot and Calypso coral ink. I'm going to stamp 2 of those flower pots. All right. And then we're going to take our greenery pieces. We've got 2, and we're going to stamp both of those. So we're going to take both greenery pieces and stamp those in garden green. Okay, I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. All right, and then we're going to take the filler pieces for those. We're going to take some bumblebee flowers. Where is my other set of flowers stamp here? Boop, boop. It's not in front of my face. Let's see if I left it in here. I don't think I did. Nope. Okay, so where? Oh, there they are. Right over here. So I'm going to take these. And to line this up, this particular one, which is this one here, if you keep it in the orientation that's on the stamp case, that will help you line up your stamps much better. You stamp them on the same orientation that's on the stamp set, okay? So we're going to take this, and this one goes on this one over here, and we're just going to line that up and stamp it down. Pretty easy. And then we're going to take some polished pink, and I'm taking my colors for my flowers from the sky in my paper. Okay, so I'm going to ink up this stamp in the polished pink, and I'm going to line that into those little holes and stamp that down, and those are now ready to go. Okay, and that is all of our stamping, except for we need to stamp our sentiment. Okay, And we're going to do that in we're going to do it in basic gray because I want to keep in with my gray granite. So we're going to take the Hope You Have a Wonderful Mother's Day, and I'm going to stamp that in basic gray right down here in the corner. Okay, perfect. All right. Then I'm going to run these through my die cut machine, all except for my sentiment here, which I am going to trim out with my little trimmer here. Just going to put that in and make it into a rectangle. Okay, so there's our sentiment. And then we can take and cut these with our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss, which, as you know, is on sale. So we're going to grab these pieces and we're going to cut that out and this one out, and we're going to turn this one this way because this little divot right here on this matches that little leaf. And then we've got one pot. Okay, so we'll use a little bit of Post-it tape, and I'm just going to tape those down so I can get them all in one go. Maybe I need to do this. Oh, there we go. Turn it right side. Turn it the right way and it'll work. And line that up. Put a piece of Post-it tape down. I'm going to actually cut this pot first. I need to slide that back into place because it moved. And then we'll tape this one down. Put our top plate on. And run that through. Okay. And then we have our little pieces. Okay. Now you would run that through a second time for the pot, because there is only one die for the pot, but to save us some time, I've already done that. So we're going to set this aside. But we're going to take our stitched So Sweetly die. Hang on, let me put away these dies before I lose them. There we go. We're going to take this Stitch So Sweetly die and we're going to get the windowed die. And we also need a scrap of gray granite, which I put away earlier. Silly me, I knew I needed that too. Okay, maybe I've already cut it. We'll look. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and place this window die toward the top. I'm going to leave a spot at the bottom. Oh yeah, I did already cut this. Okay, so I've already pre-cut that window ledge out of the gray granite. So I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to set it down here underneath my window. And then I'm going to put this in here like this. Center that up. tape it down so it doesn't move. I'm going to remove this piece because I don't need it. I'm going to make sure that that is straight. I'm going to put it on my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss at an angle. And I'm making sure that my stitching is going the right direction because there is an up and a down to this die cut. And then I'm going to push this through. Okay. And then I'm going to end up with this windowed hole in my Stitch So Sweetly die. Okay. Now, while I'm at it, I'll lift these up off of here. You can set that aside for another project. I would take my gray granite, if I hadn't already, and I would cut that window again along with the ledge. But like I say, you should probably do that first so you can measure for your ledge. But I've already done that to save us a little bit of time. So we'll have our pieces ready to go. Okay. So we're going to take and pop those out of our window. Put our ledge away and our window piece away. And set those aside. Okay. And then we also need a piece of window sheet. And we need that second pot that we've already cut. Okay? So I've got a piece of window sheet here that is just larger than the opening in my die cut. So approximately 2 by 3. And I'm going to put this on the back of my die cut to close that window off. Okay, and I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue. Around here. Okay, I'm going to set that window sheet down. All right. And then I'm going to take my window sheet piece and I'm going to take this piece of gray granite window that I cut out already. I'm going to take a little bit of liquid glue. Now, if you're not good with liquid glue, you could use the adhesive sheets for this. You don't want to put too much glue because if you get it on your window sheet, you have a really hard time getting it off where you don't want it. Okay? And remember, it doesn't take a lot. The key is here not to drop your piece on your window sheet where you don't want it. And then you're just going to pop this die cut right into that spot. And now you've got a piece that really looks like it has glass in it. All right. Then we're going to take our window ledge and we're going to take some glue dots. I'm using my glue dot trick. I didn't want this to stand out fully from the window, but I wanted it to stand out a little bit. So I'm going to put some double glue dots. I'm going to double stack my glue dots. And I'm just using my Take Your Pick tool, which I believe is on low inventory if you haven't ordered one. There are so many things on low inventory. Okay, so I'm just going to put that like so. And then I'm just going to place that right underneath my window. Centering between those stitched lines. Okay, so there we go. Then we're going to take and put our pots and flowers together. Okay, and to do this, I'm going to take some liquid glue, and I'm going to put some liquid glue at the bottom here and here, because I know these are going to go on the pot itself, like so. And along here, I'm just going to go right along this bottom edge. I'm just going to set that on there. And I'm going to flip these over. And I'm going to grab some glue dots, or some dimensionals. And I'm going to put one dimensional where those two meet, just to further solidify their sturdiness to each other. And then I'm going to grab a couple of minis, and I'm going to put up here at the top. It's probably overkill on the dimensionals, but I like them not to fall apart. Okay. Oh, this one doesn't have, this is apparently one of those that comes off. Okay. So now we can add this piece. We're going to add this to our card base. And I'm going to put this down here, but I'm going to do a little bit of sponging on that before brush blending before I do. But I want to get an idea where I want my window. So again, I'm going to take some glue dot or some dimensionals, because I want my window to set away from my scenery. And do these fit? Yep. Okay, I've got that. And that. Oops, that one's going to show. Hang on. Make sure that your points point the right direction, so they don't stick out the side. Come on. All right, we'll remove those backing pieces. And we'll put that down on the card. Just like so. Okay. Then we're going to add our flower pots. To the window sail thingy here. Put one here. And we'll put this one here. And then the last thing that we need to do is to get our, I'm going to get out a piece of scrap paper. I'm going to take the garden green ink. And I'm going to take my blending brush and I'm going to get just a tiny bit of ink and I'm just going to lightly brush that on. I don't want a lot, I just want it to blend in with the green of my grass. And that's why I didn't use a colored cardstock too, because I didn't want that to blend. So then I'm just going to take and put this on the bottom of my card right here. Okay. Now I've got one more thing I want to do. I'm going to take the fan baker's twine. And I'm going to get the evening evergreen twine. And I'm going to tie a double bow. Why can't I ever do this the way I want to? Oop. Okay, let's get that off. I need to cut this because for some reason I just can't do it when I don't cut it first. Okay. So just going to cut a length of that. And try not to lose my second piece there. Okay. And then I'm just going to pull those ends. Okay. Then I'll get a glue dot and I'll roll that into a little log. Put that on the knot. And then place that right down here between my pots. Trim my tails. And there is our finished card front. Okay. For the inside of the card, I took some more stamps in the set and stamped the inside. And then we're just going to add this in here. And the sentiment here. Comes from the Special Moments stamp set. Okay? All right. So here's our matching envelope. And I forgot. Whoops. Let me see if I can pull that back up. Oh, well, nope, can't. So we won't put the layer in there. I had intended to put a layer, but there we are. So there is our first project. Now I will go ahead and clean these things up really quickly that we don't need because I need the blocks for the next project. So I'll just put these away real quick. And then we'll have what we need. Okay. I'm hoping to get some more blocks so I don't have to keep cleaning all the time between projects, because that would be really helpful. All right, so I've got that and one more, and then hopefully I'll be good. Okay, because I don't think, nope, I'm going to need this one. I don't need this. let's put that one away too. And then we can put that back on there. All right. Thanks for being patient, everybody. Okay, so our next project, which got that in your way, sorry about that. Our next project also uses the Pansy Patch bundle. So for this card, we're going to do some stamping. And I've done some of this ahead of time too, but I want to show you how I did this. And this piece should be 4 by 5 1/4. Yep, 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, let's get out our scrap paper here. We're going to start with our base layer. That is 4 by 5 1/4, and this is in Evening Evergreen. And then our colors for this card are Evening Evergreen, Soft Succulent, Pale Papaya, Fresh Freesia, and the Polished Pink. Okay, so the 2021 to 2023 in colors is what we're using on this project. We're going to start with the Evening Evergreen. And in the Welcoming Window set, there is this brick looking stamp. And we're going to stamp our background with that. I'm going to start up here at the top. And this is designed so that they fit right together. Okay, then I'll go down to the next row and I'll move this over a bit so that they don't all line up perfectly. And then we'll just keep going till we get this filled. Now, this does not have to be perfect. Nobody's going to be picking it apart. And in the center part, a lot of this will be covered up with our focal image. Okay. I need to put that one there. Line this one up. Okay. So there we are. So now we have this brick looking background. And as you can tell, mine isn't perfect. It's fine. I did make a total mess out of that stamp though. I'm not sure how I did that. So let's clean that up so I don't have ink everywhere. I already have it on my fingers. Oh my goodness. I'll do something, I'll have that everywhere. Okay. So here's the base of our card. Let's make sure we don't have any ink on our fingers, and we'll go ahead and add that to our card base. Which is a basic white thick. And then we're just going to put this on here. Like so. All right. Let's move on with our stamping. And actually, I've already done the inside of my card. So I've used a piece of soft succulent that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and I've stamped a sentiment from the Pansy Patch stamp set and used a little pansy here. And we're going to go ahead and put this inside the card now. I stamped the sentiment in Evening Evergreen, and the pansy is done in Fresh Freesia and Blackberry Bliss. Okay, so we've got that ready to go. Now, I need a piece of basic white here, and we are going to stamp the window, and this is the upper portion of the window if you look at the stamp case. So we're going to stamp that in Soft Succulent. Okay. And we're also going to stamp the window side, the shutters. And we need 2 of those. Also in Soft Succulent. Okay. And while we're stamping these, we're going to go ahead and stamp our leaves. Okay. And we're going to need 4 leaves. So we're going to start with Soft Succulent, and I'm going to get a scrap paper. So we're going to stamp the filler piece off one time, and then we're going to stamp it on. We're going to take our the more detailed leaf piece, and we're going to stamp that full strength right on top of that leaf image. And we're going to do that 4 times. Okay? And let's see if I need to cut this one out. I've already done that. Yep, we've got 3. Okay. So we'll go ahead and cut that one when we go do our cutting. And then we need to get some pansies. And I did these kind of differently. And I'm only going to show you one to save some time. So let's do the Pale Papaya and Calypso Coral. Okay. Oh, actually, we're not using the Calypso Coral. We're just using Pale Papaya and a Bumblebee. Okay. Oh, no, you know what? We are going to do the Fresh Freesia and Blackberry Bliss. I want to show you how I did this. Okay. Sorry about that indecision. Okay. So we're going to start with Fresh Freesia. We're going to ink that up, and we're going to stamp it off. And we're going to stamp it down. Okay? And I'm going to do that a second time. Because I need 2 for each flower. Okay? Then I'm going to take my Fresh Freesia again in full strength, and I'm going to take the detailed pansy, and I'm going to stamp it on one of those stamped off Fresh Freesia. Okay? I'm going to leave the other one alone. I'm going to take what I call the beard of the pansy, and I'm going to stamp that in Blackberry Bliss. Okay. And then we need the teeny tiny little center, and I'm going to do that in Bumblebee. You want to be very careful with this stamp because it is very tiny, and if it goes flying, you might not find it. I had trouble with mine the other day when I was trying to clean it. Okay, so that's what I have so far for my pansies. Now you would repeat this process to get the polished pink, and with a polished pink, I stamped off in polished pink twice to do the 2 flowers. Then I stamped in full strength both the detail and the beard in the polished pink, and then I used the bumblebee for the center. Okay, and this is what that flower looks like. Okay, so we've got that. And I did a pale papaya and calypso coral. So I stamped off in the pale papaya twice. Then I did calypso coral and calypso coral for the beard. And then I used pale papaya and stamped two times for the center to get that one. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and run our stamped images through the die cut machine. And just so you'll know, for the windows and the shutters, I've already done that. I wanted to save us some time. Okay, so we've got that. I also have one of the Stitch So Sweetly, the second to the smallest Stitch So Sweetly die done in basic white, and we're going to use that for our sentiment. And we also have a piece of the pansy petal paper, and this piece I cut with the same die that I used to cut the window. Okay, so I'll show you those dies just so you'll know. Well, I will if I know what I did with my dies here when I put them away. Okay, so this die cuts out the window, and it also cut this piece. So we use that die. And then we've got 2 of these window dies to cut these, so you can do it in one pass. Okay, so we've cut those out to save us a little bit of time. And I wanted to show you how I put together my pansy. So I'm going to cut my pansy, and really I already have 4 leaves, so I'm not even going to cut that leaf. I'm just going to cut the pansy and show you how I put this together. And this is how I did all of my pansies. So I'm going to cut out the pansy that does not have the detail on it. So I'm just going to cut this one. Just the basic background pansy. I'm going to run that through the mini. Okay. And set that aside. All right. Then I'm going to take my paper snips, and I am going to cut out just this smaller section. I'm going to fussy cut it. I wanted a 3D pansy for this. The pansy that the die makes, that our 3D dies make that come with this set, is quite a bit larger than what I was looking for this particular project. Now I've got one made, so I'll show you what they look like. And I did do a Facebook Live quite a few weeks ago that have that. So now I've got this. All right. I'm going to I'm going to turn that over, and I'm going to add some glue dots, because again, I want a dimension, but not too much. So I'm just going to put 3 glue dots on my pansy here. And then I'm going to add that to my die cut. And then you probably won't be able to tell it on camera, but you get just a bit of dimension without too much, right? So now we have the pieces that we need for our card. And you literally can use scraps for all these little leaves and pansy flowers. Okay, so let's go ahead real quick and stamp our sentiment. And let's see if we can find what I did with that stamp. We've got well, this is the thank you. I want the happy birthday one, which is right here. Okay, so I've got the happy birthday. This is from the pansy patch. And I'm going to use the Evening Evergreen ink. And because this is photopolymer, I have no problem lining this up, although I just stuck my finger in the ink again. And I'm just going to put this right in the center of that die cut. Okay. And there we have it. Okay, so that is all of the pieces for our card now. So what I'm going to do with this die cut is I'm going to take a hole punch, and I'm going to punch a hole there, and I'm going to punch a hole here. Okay, then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to go over and cut the center of this die cut out. And I'm trying to cut right on the line. I don't really want white showing. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing up here. If you had a bigger hole punch handy, you could put a bigger hole in there. Be a little bit easier to get it started. That's what I had handy, so that's what I used. And as you can tell, it goes pretty quickly. Okay. All right, now I've got my frame. And now I'm going to add this to my pansy patch paper. And this is not symmetrical, so you might need to turn your frame for it to fit. There we go. Okay. So then we're going to take our liquid glue again. Put just a small bead. Remember, the liquid glue, just a dot, not a lot. You can barely see my glue on there. And then I'm going to add this to my paper. And now it looks like I have a field of pansies outside my window. Okay, now we're ready to start building our card. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the center of my paper flat. I'm so glad you guys liked that last card. All right, I do love these 2 stamp sets. So I'm going to put this up here, almost a half of an inch from the top, and I'm going to try to center it up. And then you need to look at your 2 shutters because they aren't symmetrical, and it will make a difference on how they look on you want the 2 sides to look the same. So we're going to take these, I'm going to turn them over. I'm going to pop these with dimensionals. I've got one of those sheets of Stampin' Dimensionals that has some issues with the backing cutting. Okay. And then we'll just put these down and we'll try to get them about the same distance from each other or from the window frame so that it looks even. But hey, it's a homemade card. It doesn't have to be perfect because it was made with love. Okay, so we've got those. Now we're going to take our happy birthday and we're going to put this down here on the bottom. We'll roughly center it between the window and the bottom of the evening evergreen. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to put our pansies on. Okay, so I'm going to put purple pansy over here with a leaf like so. And I'm going to set these 2 pansies down here. And you can tell that I tried to match up my pansies with what was in my window here. That's where my colors came from. So I'm going to set these roughly where I want them. Some sticky on my tweezers here. Okay, so that's roughly how I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up my pansies. Put my leaf back there like that. Take some liquid glue. Set that down gently. And I'm going to set this one down gently. Not pressing it into place. And then I'm going to reset my pansies and see if I like where those are at. And this one I'm going to turn like so. And then I'll go ahead and put this one. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and press those down now. Because I didn't press them earlier, I had time to move them. Okay, so now I'm going to take some, I'm going to use glue dots for this one. And put a glue dot in the center. At the top and the bottom. Okay. And I'm not going to cover up my sentiment. Just going to put that in there like that. And then we're going to get a Stampin' Dimensional and put at the top of our pansy here. And we'll put another mini over here. because the other side is going to lay on that other pansy. Oh, put it on the wrong side. I'm a little challenged when it comes to the backwards things. There, that's what I want. And then we'll put that right there like that. And we're going to go ahead and put this leaf down. Like so. And I'm going to pop this pansy up. Okay. And then we'll put this like so. Okay. And there is the card. Get rid of these garbage pieces. 8:45. All right. So these are the two cards we made. Now, if you want to stick around, I've got a very quick 3D project that goes along with this card right here. So here's the envelope that matches this. Move some of these things out of the way. All right. And here's the first card that we made. And you can look at those while I grab the few items that we need for the next project. Okay, and I have done a good share of the work on this one. I've already done all of the stamping for the pansies and things because I just wanted to show you how to put the project together. I've already showed you how I made the pansies. So we're going to start with, let's get these out of the way. We're going to start with a piece of Magenta Madness cardstock. Okay. And if you were going to make a bunch of multiples of this, okay, this particular piece, this is for one. This is 2 3/4 by 7.5. Okay. So if you were going to make 4 at a time, you would take an 8.5 inch piece of paper, put this in your trimmer on the 8.5 inch side and cut an inch off. Okay. And then you would grab your scoring tool, put the 7.5 inch side at the top. So it doesn't matter whether you're using a 2 3/4 or, oh, and I haven't cut this. I haven't cut this one, apparently. Let me cut off an inch because it's showing 8.5 and I need 7.5. Okay. So whether it's 2 3/4 by 7.5 or 7.5 by 11, okay, you're going to score this at 1 3/8, 1 7/8, 3 1/4, and 3 3/4. Now, this is not my original idea. I watched the Paper Pixie, and she made them. And that is all the scoring that there is to do. So like I say, whether your paper's 2 3/4 inches wide or 11 inches wide, you're going to score at 1 3/8, 1 7/8, 3 1/4, and 3 3/4. Okay, then we're going to burnish all those fold lines. Making sure that our sides are straight. Okay. Then with this long part at the top, I'm going to round these top 2 corners. Okay. And then I've got some designer series paper. This is from the Expressions in Ink. designer series paper. And this particular piece is 2 1/4 inches by 2 5/8. And I've rounded the top of the corners for that. Okay. Oh, and I did not cut this right. Well, it won't matter. I didn't cut mine in the right direction because it's more than 2 1/4 long and it shouldn't be. Okay, so it should be 2 1/4 inches by 2 5/8. But it's not going to matter because I'm going to fold it up and you won't see that it went down. This particular piece is 1 1/4 by 2 5/8. Okay, and I'm just going to take and fold this, and I'm going to put this right here. And this one's not cut right either. Good grief. Man, I really messed those up when I cut earlier today. I was having a difficult time with my measurements. My brain was not functioning. Okay, so this is 3 1/4. I need this to be 2 5/8. Sorry about that, guys. Thought I had that all. Okay, so I need it to be 2 5/8 inch by 1 1/4. So I'm going to cut the 1 1/4, and then I'm going to cut this 2 5/8. And hopefully I don't cut it 2 3/8. I did that earlier too. I was having a lot of trouble with my measurements. In fact, I had to stop and go eat because I went, oh, this is terrible. I'm not even close to what I need to be doing here. My suggestion is to cut your paper 3 1/2 by 2 5/8. Your designer series paper, and then you can cut 1 1/4 off of the 3 1/2, and you will have 2 1/4 left, and it will be correct. But you need your paper in landscape if it's a directional pattern. So the shorter part needs to be the up and down, and the wider part needs to be left to right. Okay, so now that I've put those on, what I've done is I folded on the first score line and then on the third score line so that I knew where to put my paper. Okay, and then I'm going to put glue on this first tab here, this first piece here. Okay, and again, I'm going to fold on the first fold line and the third fold line, and I'm just going to lay that flat. Okay, and then I'm going to pop this up, and I'm going to give that a good burnish inside. Okay, and then I've already stamped the smallest. I've cut out the smallest Stitch So Sweetly rectangle die, and I've stamped the thank you from Pansy Patch in soft succulent ink. And I'm just going to put this on a Stampin' seal right here in the center of my designer series paper at the bottom. Okay, then again I'm going to take 3 leaves that I've cut, that I stamped just like I showed you earlier. Approximately like that. Put a pansy here and a pansy here. Okay, let's see. That, okay. Let's go with that. I'm just going to use Stampin' Seal to save a little bit of time here. I won't be able to move them, but it'll be okay. Actually, let's go this way with this one. If I don't press it real hard, I might be able to move it. And we'll go about like that. And whoops. About like that. Yep, I'm happy with that. I'm going to give those a good press. And put this one down flat, like so. Grab a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to put them on the left side of the back here. And on a mini down here. That way they're on the right side there. And then I'm just going to put that like so. And now, let's see, let's add our treats. So this holds 3 Hershey's Nuggets. When you put them in, you want to put them in, make sure that your seam, your flap is this way. They'll slide in easier for you. Then you're going to turn your second one, and again, turn that flap so that it's facing out and upside down. And then I'm going to turn that flap so it's facing out again. And that will hold 3 Hershey's Nuggets, and they're not going anywhere. Okay, so now that matches our card. So we could have matching. You could make a happy birthday, and you could have a card and matching treat. And then we have our other holder here. Okay, so those are our projects for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed those. These are so quick to make, you can make a ton of them. I made a bunch of them in St. Patrick's Day theme for the Winco employees for Susie to take in. So anyway, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I will see you back here again next Tuesday night at 7:45 for another Facebook Live. Good night.